Ever notice how some birthdays just seem to have a vibe?
Hmm.
Like you meet someone new and they go, oh yeah, January 2nd. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Right.
That's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
We're looking at those supposed personality patterns that are revealed by birthdays, all according to, and this is our source material, Adam's birthday book.
Okay.
And we're looking specifically at January 2nd today.
All right.
So think of Adam's birthday book, kind of like a daily horoscope, but for birthdays.
Okay.
And before you roll your eyes, like I used to be a total skeptic about this stuff, but then I read this book and it's got me thinking.
Interesting.
So for all you January 2nd folks out there listening, the book describes you as serious individuals with extremely high standards.
Mm-hmm.
Sound familiar?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay, so it also mentions great drive, but paired with a healthy degree of insecurity.
Okay.
Now, that's an interesting combo. So
Yeah.
what's your take on that idea of insecurity actually being a good thing?
That is interesting, right? Because, we often think of insecurity as a weakness, something to overcome, something to get rid of.
Right.
But Adam's birthday book suggests that maybe it can be a source of motivation, even a strength. Think of it this way, right? When we're a little unsure of ourselves, well, we might work harder, Maybe we're more likely to push ourselves further to kind of prove our worth.
So it's like this underlying current pushing them to achieve.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. And, that drive is further highlighted by the book's mention of workaholism, even obsessive-compulsive tendencies. Now, while those terms, they can have negative connotations for sure.
Right.
They also, they point to a certain meticulousness, a dedication to getting things just right.
Which, let's be honest, that can be both a blessing and a curse.
Absolutely.
On the one hand, you've got someone who is incredibly detail-oriented, they're driven to excel. But on the other hand, yeah, they might be prone to burnout,
For sure.
always striving for this impossible standard of perfection.
Yeah, it's all about finding that balance, right? Channeling that intensity into something productive and fulfilling. Interestingly, Adam's birthday book suggests that January 2nd individuals are often drawn towards creative fields or self-employment.
See, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Like they're craving control, they thrive on pouring their energy into something that they're passionate about.
Yeah, precisely. It's about finding, an outlet for that drive, a space where maybe their perfectionism becomes an asset rather than a hindrance. And, speaking of outlets, the book also stresses the importance of January 2nd individuals taking time to, well, how do they put it?
To chill out.
To chill out. Yeah. It even goes so far to say that they, quote, should be encouraged to take time off from their work, be less serious, and have more fun.
Oh, man.
Easier said than done. Right.
It's like telling a workaholic to stop working so hard. Like how do you even begin to unwind when your brain is wired for productivity?
Right.
So what are some practical strategies
that
a January 2nd person could actually implement? I mean, like, I'm all for a good time, don't get me wrong, but how do you tell someone to just be less serious?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like you can just flip a switch, right?
Right.
It's more about, finding ways to work, incorporate relaxation and enjoyment into a life that's probably already, pretty structured.
Yeah.
So for a January 2nd personality, like scheduling and downtime might actually be the key.
Scheduling in fun. That almost sounds like another task on their to-do list.
Think of it as a non-negotiable appointment with yourself, right?
Yeah, right.
It doesn't have to be like, Netflix and chill if that just doesn't appeal to, their active minds. The key is finding activities that feel productive and enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like gardening, maybe woodworking, or learning a new language, something that, engages their mind while also allowing for that sense of accomplishment.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between unwinding and still feeling like they're achieving something.
Exactly. And surrounding themselves with people who, encourage that healthy work-life balance, I think that's crucial too. We all need those friends who can just remind us to come up for air,
Yeah.
loosen our grip a little and just enjoy the ride.
Speaking of enjoying the ride, this is where things take a little bit of a turn in the book.
Okay.
Adam's birthday book also throws in some intriguing tidbits about like ruling numbers, celestial bodies, and even tarot cards.
Okay.
It says the ruling number for January 2nd is 2, the celestial body is the moon, and the tarot card is the high priestess. So I'm curious how you connect these to everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, no, it's easy to kind of dismiss these elements as a bit out there. But if we approach them with an open mind, we might find some, fascinating parallels. So let's start with the moon, right? Often associated with emotions, intuition, and the subconscious qualities that might be amplified for those born on January 2nd.
Okay.
Remember that healthy degree of insecurity that we were talking about?
Yeah.
The moon's influence could suggest that these individuals, they're particularly in tune with their inner world, both, the light and the shadows.
It's like they're feeling everything more intensely, more deeply.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And then we have the number 2, right? Often linked to duality, partnerships, collaboration. It kind of suggests this need for balance and harmony, which I think ties in nicely to the book's advice for January 2nd individuals to prioritize relationships and connect with others.
Okay.
Even though they might be naturally inclined towards, independence and self-reliance, they really thrive when they find that sense of balance through meaningful connections.
So it's not just about finding balance within themselves, but also seeking it out in their relationships with others.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a reminder that, we're not meant to go through life alone,
Yeah.
We all need support, collaboration, a sense of belonging.
And what about the tarot card, the High Priestess?
Yeah.
Where does she fit into all of this?
Oh, the High Priestess is, she's a fascinating figure. She represents intuition, inner wisdom, and this deep connection to the subconscious. And I think, she's kind of a reminder to trust our gut instincts, right? To listen to that inner voice that often whispers the truth. And I think this resonates with the January 2nd personality as they're already, introspective, driven by their own internal compass. The High Priestess is kind of, an invitation to delve even deeper into those intuitive depths, to trust their own inner guidance.
Okay, so maybe there's more to these, mystical elements than meets the eye. They kind of seem to echo and reinforce what we've already learned about those born on January 2nd.
I think so.
But before we wrap things up, there's one more section in Adam's birthday book that I have to ask you about.
Okay.
Health. And let's just say it's a bit of a reality check. The book claims that January 2nd folks, they tend to bottle up their worries and are prone to stress-related issues. Is that to say that if you're born on January 2nd, you are doomed to a life of anxiety and illness?
No, let's not jump to any, dramatic conclusions. It's not, about predicting doom and gloom here. It's about self-awareness, By recognizing potential pitfalls, you can take proactive steps to avoid them.
So it's less about fate and more about foresight. So it's not a death sentence. It's more like, like a heads up.
Yeah, exactly. It's about, understanding your tendencies and then making conscious choices to support, both your physical and your mental health. The book, it emphasizes the importance of taking breaks, prioritizing mental health, and, that's something we keep coming back to, seeking balance, all those things that can, mitigate stress and promote well-being.
It all circles back to that balance, right? Finding that equilibrium between, like, pushing yourself and knowing when to ease up a little.
It's a lifelong balancing act for all of us. But being aware of our natural inclinations, I think that gives us a head start, right?
Speaking of head starts, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
We talked about, like, personality quirks, and then we got into career paths, and then, like, mystical influences, even a little health advice. And we looked at all of that through the lens of Adam's birthday book and what it says about those born on January 2nd.
It's been a fascinating exploration for sure. Who knew birthdays could be so, revealing?
Right. And you know what my biggest takeaway is?
What?
Even if you're skeptical about, this kind of stuff, like I am, there's still something kind of intriguing about these patterns that we see,
Yeah.
Like these little echoes of ourselves in totally unexpected places.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder, what else is out there? What else is kind of hidden in plain sight?
And that brings me to the final thought I want to leave you with today. Adam's birthday book. It offers up all these insights about January 2nd personalities. But it also begs the question, like, how much of who we are is, like, predetermined?
Yeah.
And how much is up to us to shape?
It's an age-old question, isn't it? Nature versus nurture, destiny versus free will.
Exactly. And while we might not have the answer, it's still something I think worth pondering.
Absolutely.
So for all you January 2nd folks out there and anyone else who's curious about this kind of stuff, keep exploring, keep questioning. And maybe, just maybe, you'll uncover a hidden truth or two about yourself along the way. Until next time, happy deep diving.